right, so this is lesson 9.6. This is part 3. We've talked about, what is the quadratic formula, and we've recognized that there's a little song you can sing. Pop Goes the Weasel. You've got to memorize this formula. I'll go ahead and erase some of these pieces, and that's fantastic. And then we've also talked about in this lesson, oh boy, that's not good. Let me put this back in there, minus 4ac. Okay, cool. We've also talked about how we can use the discriminant, and the discriminant really helps us to determine the number of roots there are to the quadratic before we actually go ahead and finish it. So let's look at the third thing here. Let's look at actually solving using the quadratic formula. And here's an example I want us to look at. All right, so this is a quadratic formula, and it is in standard form. And when it's in standard form, we're going to be able to identify what A is, what B is, and what C is. So in this case, A is 1, B is negative 10, and C is 16. Okay, good. We're going to need to use these values in the quadratic formula. X equals negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Awesome. Now it's just going to be plug and chug is what we call this. We're going to go ahead and use these values, plug them into the formula, and simplify it. So we have negative 10, because B is negative 10, plus or minus, and we're going to do the square root of negative 10, so B squared, minus 4 times 1, that's A, times C, that's 16. I'll go ahead and extend my radical out, all over 2 times A, which is 1. Good. Step 1. We've plugged the values in, and now we've got to simplify this thing. So negative 10 is positive 10. Positive 10 plus or minus, let's go ahead and draw that radical again. Negative 10 squared is 100, and so then what we have is 100 minus 4 times 16, right? So 16 times 4, right? That is going to be 64. So 100 minus 64, 100 minus 64 is 36. And all over 2. Okay, good. So we've evaluated our discriminant. What we know right now is this is positive. We're going to have 2 roots. Okay, we know that because the discriminant is positive. That's telling us we're going to have 2 roots. So let's figure out what they are. All right, so one of the roots is going to be 10 plus the square root of 36. And we're going to divide that by 2. So we know that. That's 10 plus 6 divided by 2. That's 16 divided by 2. And that's 8. That's one of our roots. Well, it's true that we also do 10 minus the square root of 36 divided by 2. So that's going to be 10 minus 6 over 2, and that's going to give us 4 over 2, and that's going to be 2. So the answer is 2 and 8.